Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with a little bit of overtime. I apologize to those of you who join me each and every day, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7. The Gremlins got us right there at the beginning of at the end of the program. I apologize that I don't know what happened. Still can't explain it. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me know you're out there. Let me let me hear you, live and clear. Give me a roll tide if you can hear. I'd love to have you rejoin. We're going to give it a little time, but I'm going to go ahead and hit a couple of the topics that I was going to talk about. They won't be valid next week, so I figured I'd go ahead and get back on with you today, just to give you a little overtime of the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. There's no Xavier, but I'm here with you, broadcasting on all of our various channels. So welcome into the program, guys. We talked a little bit about the keys to victory. I think that you can, kind of wrap that up to be. I think it starts in the trenches, the battle in the trenches. This is a place where Alabama has traditionally won. This is only about the sixth time that Alabama has played Florida State, somewhere in that range. The last time we played them, we shut down their run game. Of course, we knocked the quarterback out of the game. Will we see a repeat of that? Possibly. And then Alabama's run game amassed 170 plus rushing yards the last time they competed. Will we see a repeat of that? I think both of those are unlikely in terms of, I'm sorry. I think it's unlikely we hold them to 40 yards with the running quarterback unless we have some type of injury to Castellano like we had back then in 2017. But the other side of that is, I think it's possible that our run game gets that many yards or more due to the weather and due to the Ty Simpson effect. I think that Alabama run game does well. But I think it's key in the trenches on both sides of the ball. I think the D-line is mission critical, that the D-line holds their own against the run game, their standard run game, but more importantly, that they hold their own in their run lane integrity. In other words, don't get out of your run lanes and create an opening or a hole for Tommy C to take off and break the game wide open with his legs. And then, of course, my player of the game was on the defensive side of the ball was Justin Jefferson. I think Lawson comes back strong, but I think Justin Jefferson, both in his ability to play the run, but also spy the quarterback, keep the quarterback in check. I think it pays huge dividends uh, in terms of what they're able to bring to the table. So um, to you know, I'm looking forward to Alabama having a great time and taking care of the business in the trenches. But I do think that is an absolute key to victory. I also think getting off to a fast start. I think Tim Richardson says that he says have to get off to a fast start and put up points due to the possibility of long delays. So if it's been important overall, that there's definitely a situation where early points becomes even more important if you're looking at a possible rain delay, getting out of rhythm, etc. Last time we were down in Florida, I think was last time we saw meaningful snaps by Ty. He got the victory, led his team to victory, but was not the starter and did not start the following week. So this is his team now. I think he takes care of business, but I do think the major key to victory is what happened in the trenches. I think it's mission critical that the offensive line do two things: is they open up some run lanes for the regular running game, so we can call it, especially before the weather gets bad, if it does. But then also be able to protect Ty Simpson, keep him upright, as Coach DeBoer always likes to say. As far as skill positions and things like that, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, I think the wide receivers are going to do their thing, and that's conditional based on what the weather shows. And so that's what we hope happens with those guys, that they're able to play well. Tim Richardson, before we jump off of that subject of the trenches, he said, and he did earlier in the week. He told us, he said Beeman reminded him of Quentin Williams against Michigan a couple of weeks ago. I think he'll prove his point on tomorrow. So I'm hoping that he's right about Beeman and he's able to take care of business. Other keys to victory is that we just can't let them get explosive plays in the secondary. Our wide receivers are going to do their thing. I think Ty gets over the 200-yard mark, not because he has 30 completions or attempts, but because we get a couple big plays in the pass game, whether it's Ryan Williams catching it on a quick slant pass like we used to see with Judy and Ruggs and those guys, or whether it's Isaiah Horton going over the top. I think we have a couple of explosive plays, 30-plus receiving yards in the pass game that kind of helps Ty get off to a good start. So that's kind of my keys to victory. Three keys to victory: win in the trenches, one on each side of the ball. Do not give up big time pass plays, and then ultimately take care of your business and us get some explosive plays offensively to help, in case this rain thing comes. One of the areas we hadn't talked a lot about that I think will be mission critical to the game is the special teams. We haven't talked about it a lot, but I think that early in the game they'll make a couple good plays, and I'm hoping Mbakwe gets to be the returner because of his decision to stay here with the Tide and change sides of the ball. I hope to see this young man be impactful and impact the game in that type of way on tomorrow. So, uh, I already told you my players of the game. I have Ty Simpson on the offensive side of the ball. I have Justin Jefferson on the defensive side of the ball. As far as guys that I think you can see from a breakout player standpoint, might have to go with Beeman since he gets his chance. But look for a top newcomer, breakout player, etc. Dijon Lee, look for him to make a few plays on the defensive side of the ball. new guy, new player, new to this team, new to this defense. Look for him to be a playmaker on tomorrow, along with the other defensive backs. I think Bray Hubbard, is one of those guys that you're just going to see him impact the game. And he is my guy who I have getting the first interception of the season. I have Bray Hubbard being that playmaker and continuing his exceptional play from last year. Bray Hubbard gets the first interception. The first TD. Let me think about that. Will the first TD be a pass or a run? I think the first TD will be a pass play, somewhere 15 yards and out. Ty Simpson starts off the right way. Ty Simpson throwing to Isaiah Horton, the newcomer, maybe one of those 15-yard fades to the back corner, left corner of the end zone to Isaiah Horton. That's my first call. So first TD, Ty Simpson to Isaiah Horton. First sack, LT Overton. LT Overton gets the first sack. LT Overton, he doesn't miss the first sack. He actually makes it tomorrow. That's going to be mission critical for Alabama to make sure that they take care of all their tackles and everything. So that's going to be a huge. And Hollywood, the barber, jumping in on the conversation. Don't want to get out there too quick. He doesn't want the big explosive plays early in the game. Hollywood, the barber, says we need to come out with a 14-play drive and be very physical and set the tone. I love everything about that statement. Everything. I do not want us to come out and just hit big explosive plays. I want to see this offense get into a rhythm, become methodical, drive down the field. I wouldn't have said 14 plays, but I'll take a 14-play drive to start the season. Hollywood the barber, I'm hearing you. I'm following you. I think that would be absolutely awesome if Alabama was able to start off with a 14-play drive. Hollywood the barber, who you got scoring that touchdown at the end of that 14-play drive? The other part that I like about what he said was be very physical. In other words, not just a 14-play drive, but a physical brand of football. And even though Grubb is known for being an explosive style offense, don't think that doesn't mean that they're not physical. He presents a physical brand of football, and so don't underestimate Alabama's ability to be physical because they want to be explosive. I think it's both and with Grubb and the way he wants to approach the game. The third thing he says there, other than the 14 plays and the physical drive, is set the tone. And that's the most important. I probably should have put that under keys to victory. That's the most important thing that Alabama needs to do. Tommy Consolano has been talking smack. He said he did it because he's the quarterback of a 2-win team and needed to instill confidence, and I get that. But the question becomes, if they have confidence early, they begin to believe what he said all summer. If we come out and set the tone, I think this Florida State team could absolutely fall apart. If Alabama jumps on them early, my score of 34-17 goes out the window. If we jump on them early, 14 to nothing, something like that, it's on. It is going to be an absolute nightmare for Florida State if we jump on them early. So that's another key to victory is setting the tone. Then the key matchups that I want to hit real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here, is I do think that there's a key matchup with Alabama's wide receivers versus their DBs. And this is what I mean by that. They want to be physical with Alabama receivers. There's a rumor out there or a mindset out there that Ryan Williams can't play well against physical DBs. So look for them to kind of try to rough him up. I think Tennessee took that approach, and people say that had something to do with his performance. But I think that was more the quarterback was off that day, and we kept throwing the ball. So look for that matchup. I do not think the physicality is going to impact Ryan, but I definitely don't think it's going to work against Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton, and I don't think they're going to be able to get their hands on Rico Scott. I look for Rico Scott to have a couple big plays as well. So I think that matchup, physicality of Florida State versus Alabama's athletic wide receivers, give that nod to Alabama's wide receivers. Also, I think the reverse of that is Florida State has some big wide receivers. They have a couple guys that stand at 6'6". They have a freshman tight end named Jason Lofton, and they talk about his versatility. Actually, let me see if I can pull up that audio in terms of Chase's versatility. They are talking about him being able to be the type of player that like I said, they have him listed as on the roster as a tight end, but when the press showed up, I'm not going to be able to pull it up. But when the press showed up, they had him listed as a wide receiver. He's 6'6", and true freshman worked himself into some playing time. They also have another wide receiver standing at 6'6". Then they have Squirrel White. I'm not sure how healthy he is, but they have these really big wide receivers, a couple smaller, quicker guys. And that I'm glad Alabama's gone to a bigger defensive backfield. So I think we'll be okay. I do think that there may be a couple, if they can get that tight end in some mismatch situations, it could potentially be there. Blind Squirrel Sports said someone brought up the importance of playing disciplined football yesterday with the need to address all disrespect. Could we see this game get a little bit chippy at times? Oh, I think so. And I think that may be part of Florida State's strategy is to come out and be chippy. Blind Squirrel Sport. I think that they will do their best to try to get Alabama out of their game. That's why it's important to go back to Hollywood the Barber's statement. We need to come out with a 14-play drive, nothing, and be very physical and set the tone. Nothing demoralizes a team more than a physical run game. I tell people it's like the body blows of a power puncher. Those body blows just keep pounding, boom, then you land the big uppercut and knock the boxer out. I think that's the way Alabama football plays tomorrow. So I think it could get chippy, but I think Alabama can shut that up really, really quick. If they don't shut it up really quick, then we're talking about another story. If they shut it real quick, I don't think it's going to be there. Also, Blind Squirrel Sport said that he's heard that he thinks allegedly FSU thinks that they can hit Bama's wide receivers hard. They don't want them to catch the ball, but even the mighty Georgia Bulldogs cannot do that. Several people have tried that, and it hasn't worked. But I do think you have to have some type of game plan to try to stop Alabama's wide receiver core, and that's theirs. I don't know if they think that their DBs can't run with Alabama all over the field, so they're going to try to slow them down. And if a guy can't get started, you don't have to cover him all over the field. I think that the other thing that they think they may have an advantage in is in Jason Jenkins and their front line. They think that they added a couple guys that may be able to get some pass rush on the quarterback. So that's why I said it's important that Alabama's offensive line keep them in the trenches. In regards to what Blind Squirrel Sports said, Tim Richardson said if FSU has to do that meaning if they have to try to hit our receivers and bump them at the line and rough them up, they already lost. Hope that's the case. Hey, I need to get out of here. I'm Martin Houston. I'm Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. right here on these same back channels. as well as on the airways at Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. But hey, like, follow, share. Apologize that we had the technical difficulty this morning to those faithful ones, but hey, look at it. It got us in overtime. Hopefully you enjoyed the content. Tell your family and friends about how we break it down right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We'll be back on the other side of Sunday, not Monday, not tomorrow. Alabama's going to take care of business once again. My score, 34-17. Ty Simpson, 230 passing yards. Xavier scored 31-14, but he has it with 185 passing yards. So either way, we'll be back on Monday to break it down, to keep it rolling. Thanks for being a part of it. Thanks to all of you who jumped over on the OT. Maybe we'll do this a little bit more often as time permits. Roll Tide, everybody. Go take care of